3 long years ago, Apple refreshed the 2017 iMac with some very powerful specs. So Max bought the top-of-the-line model for $2,700, and ever since then, that iMac has been hard at work in our office editing our YouTube videos. We later ordered the top-spec 2019 model with the Vega 48 graphics, but we decided to return it because the performance gains were a bit underwhelming. And now, in 2020, we have finally replaced the 2017 model with the brand new 2020 iMac because of how good it is overall. So in this video, I'm going to be comparing the performance between the best iMac models you could get over the past 3 years. The fully loaded 2017 iMac with the 4-core i7 and the Radeon Pro 580 graphics for $2,700, the top-of-the-line 2019 iMac with the 8-core i9 and the Vega 48 graphics for $3,250, and the new top-spec 2020 iMac with the 10-core i9 and the crazy 5700 XT graphics for $3,200, which is surprisingly cheaper than the previous model. And this video is going to be extremely helpful for some of you who are still using the 2017 or the 2019 iMac, and you're wondering how much your workflow will improve by upgrading. Because in today's video, we're not only going to be comparing benchmarks, but we're going to have real-world tests like photo editing in Photoshop and Lightroom Classic, music production in Logic Pro 10, programming in Xcode, and video editing in Final Cut Pro 10. But before we get into our testing, I want to mention some of the key differences between these iMacs. While the general features are basically identical between the 2017 and 2019 models, the new 2020 iMac gets a few extra goodies, like a 1080p webcam, True Tone technology for the display, a nano texture glass option for an extra $500, the ability to hook up not one, but 2 6K displays, improved microphone quality with support for Hey Siri, and an updated UHS 2 SD card slot with faster transfer speeds, Bluetooth 5.0, Apple's T2 chip, which is great for hardware acceleration, updated Navi graphics accelerators, and the option for a 10GB Ethernet port for an extra $100. All of those things that I just mentioned are not available on the 2017 and 2019 iMac, so keep that in mind. And now let's get into our performance testing, but first, be sure to check out our Apple product mask and our merch shelf below if you want to help support this channel. Starting with Geekbench 5 CPU test, the 2017 model is quite a bit behind the rest in terms of single-core performance, since it's over 3 years old now. And for multi-core, there's an even bigger difference, with the 10-core model now being over twice as powerful as the 4-core in the 2017 model, which isn't surprising. We then tested the Cinebench R20 CPU stress test, and the 2019 model was almost twice as powerful as the 2017 iMac, with the 10-core i9 being about 38% faster than last year's i9. Now, getting into Geekbench 5's metal test, it was surprising to see that the 5700 XT in the 2020 iMac was only around 34% faster than the graphics in the 2017 model, because of how much graphics has advanced in the past couple of years. So we ran Unigine Heaven gaming benchmark on the extreme preset, and now the 5700 XT is over twice as fast as the graphics in the 2017 model, which is more along the lines of what we were expecting, and it definitely showed in our gaming review of the 2020 iMac. Now, since that was an OpenGL benchmark, we decided to run GFX Bench 5.0 Metal, and in the Aztec Ruins test, we're seeing very similar results, with the 5700 XT being about 33% faster than the 2019 iMac model. And in the Manhattan test, that difference goes down a little bit, with the 2020 iMac being 30% faster than the 2019 model and about 78% more powerful than the 2017 iMac. Now, before we get into video editing with Final Cut Pro 10, I want to quickly go through some of the other tests like photo editing, music production, and programming. We ran Pugetbench for Photoshop, and we were surprised to see that the 10-core iMac was only around 39% faster than the 4-core in the 2017 model, compared to being over twice as fast in the other CPU benchmarks that we ran earlier. This is probably because Photoshop performance scales with clock speeds a bit more than it scales with extra CPU cores, so graphics design still performs pretty well with the 4-core. Now moving on to photo editing with Lightroom Classic, we exported 500 raw 42 megapixel photos, and it was surprising to see that the 2019 model was almost as fast as the 2020 iMac. But the new 10-core was still about 30% faster than the 2017 model. We then built one-to-one previews, and here the 10-core showed its true colors, being 39% faster than the 2019 model and 50% faster than the 2017 iMac. So that's pretty impressive. Now before I move on, I do want to mention that we recently compared the 8-core i7 on the 2020 iMac to the 10-core i9, and there was almost no difference in these tests, so be sure to check out that video after this one is over. We then tested the new Logic Pro 10 benchmark, which measures how many tracks the system can handle before overloading, and it was surprising to see that the 10-core only handled 6 more tracks compared to the 2019 model, but it did handle about 2.3 times more tracks than the 4-core on the 2017 iMac. So when looking at this test, the 10-core CPU honestly isn't very worth it, which we talked about in that i7 vs i9 video. Now running the MaxTech Xcode benchmark, which you can find a link to down in the description below, the 2020 iMac finished the build almost twice as fast as the 2017 model, and about 21% faster than the 2019 iMac. So if you're an Xcode programmer using the 2017 iMac, this goes to show just how much time you can save by upgrading to a 2020 model. Now finally getting into video editing with Final Cut Pro 10, the 2020 iMac with the 5700 XT graphics finished in 9 seconds, almost twice as fast as the 2017 model, and about 22% faster than the 2019 iMac. And now moving on to our 1-minute HEVC stabilization test, there was an even smaller difference, only 4 seconds between the 2017 and 2020 models. But that 4 seconds could add up over time if you do a lot of stabilization. And the reason they're so close is because this test uses the QuickSync chip inside the integrated graphics of each of these processors, and that chip hasn't really changed since the 2017 iMac. Now moving on to our 5-minute 4K H.264 export, which is the most common format that YouTubers use, there was barely any difference at all. The new 2020 iMac only saves you 8 seconds compared to the 2017 model. This is once again because of the QuickSync chip that takes care of H.264 video encoding. So that 8-second gain is purely because of the faster graphics, rendering the effects just a little bit quicker. Now this next test is what really makes the 2020 iMac shine, and you're about to have your mind blown by this performance improvement. Exporting a 5-minute HEVC clip, the 2020 iMac was 2.2 times faster than the 2017 model, which was only around 5 seconds slower than the 2019 iMac. So this is a massive difference for HEVC exporting. The reason we're seeing such a good improvement here is because the 2020 iMac is the first one to come with Apple's T2 chip, which takes care of HEVC encoding and makes it much faster than before. Now moving on to exporting a 5-minute Canon C200 RAW clip, the 2020 iMac was about 24% faster than the 2017 model and only around 12% faster than the 2019 iMac. This test is mostly based on graphics performance, since there aren't any kind of hardware accelerators for raw footage, so that's why we're seeing a difference here. Now what matters even more than export time is the frames per second while editing in the timeline, and the 2020 iMac is the only one that plays it back at a perfect 60 FPS. And then for our 8K Red Raw test, the 2020 iMac played it back at 19 FPS out of 24, compared to just 13 with the 2019 model, and a terrible 8 FPS with the 2017 iMac. So there you guys have it, that was the performance improvements of the iMac over the last 3 years of top spec models. And if you'd ask me, some of those results were quite underwhelming. For photo editing, the 2020 model performed extremely well, but not as much as I thought it would compared to the others. And for music production, the 2020 iMac kills the 2017 model, but it only handled 5 more tracks compared to the 2019 iMac. And for programming in Xcode, there was definitely a big difference coming from the 2017 model, and a decent improvement compared to the 2019 model. And especially for gaming, the 5700 XT graphics in the 2020 iMac is clearly the best choice, greatly outperforming the others. But the real power is in editing raw footage, specifically in terms of timeline smoothness, which is very important if you want a perfect editing experience. Now, I do want to mention that the $2,300 model of the 2020 iMac actually performed close to this top-end 10-core model in many of these tests, so definitely watch the comparison video right over there. And if this comparison was helpful, be sure to click the circle above to subscribe and use the links down below to buy RAM or buy that new 2020 model, and definitely check out our Apple product mask. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.